we've been talking about this for a couple of days, but back when I was with the Jets, Rex was the head coach. Anthony Lynn's the offensive coordinator. And that I found to be really interesting was Rex found defending 6 offensive linemen to be difficult from a defensive perspective, just from a standpoint, if you didn't have time to prepare for it, just from their assignments, it was very difficult. And he felt like in-game adjustments, that was one of the things he didn't like. So I was not surprised that they did it, maybe to the extent, and you could see how much they used it. This certainly was a factor in the game. And Jeff, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to this.
Yeah, no, I think the one thing I would bring up is I think the way the league has trended so much to, being passing efficient and defensively trying to match that. Everybody's playing matchup and scheme. And one of the things I actually said on television is, look, you got all the answers in the world for scheme. What you don't have an answer for is somebody kicking your teeth in, right? Like when 6 of these dudes are lining up and then you're bringing in 2 and 3 other tight ends. I thought Detroit did an excellent job of helping because they had an injured center, so he's out. Their right tackle is a first-round pick, but he played left. Now he's moved to right, and he will get exposed at that position. But even putting him over there in the passing game, you're forcing Watt or whoever's going to rush over to designate his role by where he's going to line up with the tight ends. And so kind of having to work through the trash and figure out how to actually rush I thought gave Sewell a ton of time to actually benefit in that way as well. But when you watch the game, you watch how many double teams and you really watch how ill prepared. And I think Pittsburgh's a very good defense. I think they're sound. I think they do things the right way. It just shows you how being physical and laying 2 bodies, even if they're not great players, how difficult it is to get off and respond.
Yeah, and Jeff and I talked about this, and again, a lot of this was through the lens of just listening to Rex for as long as it did. You could see like some of these tackle overs with 6 offensive linemen, it just screws with your assignments, and you could just see how productive they were, like both on tape and the stats certainly backed it up. And again, just knowing Anthony Lynn a little bit, I'm just a little surprised they haven't gone to this sooner.
Worked with Andy Reid for 14 years. He had the exact opposite philosophy. He said, the more people I put near the line of scrimmage, the more tacklers I'm bringing or pass rushers I'm bringing into the box. So he would have played with 4 offensive linemen if he could have. and you see him on short yardage. He sometimes goes to 3 tight ends, but he actually prefers to spread it out so you have less tacklers in the box. So it's kind of the opposite.
Yeah. Hey, Joe, this is one thing I actually asked some of our researchers at ESPN. That's a great point about I think the problem, it's not done enough, right? Like this is 27 plays, which is by far the most I have seen probably since I've been working on television. So 7 years or whatever it is, where somebody goes in and is just really consistent with it. So I would say it would be tough if you're only doing it 2 or 3 times a game because they're going to be more situational, right? You're going to be on the goal line, short yardage. So even if you're successful, it might only be for a 1-yard gain, right? So, because I will tell you, the reason that I like this game plan as much as I did is I think Sean McVay has done a disservice to his own offense because he's fallen in love with Stafford and what all that he can do and bring to that offense. And so what he has allowed himself to do is get away from that 2-by-2 tight formation where you're coming downhill where, I know Robert Woods is now hurt, but when he would basically wrap in and lead block, right, you get kind of a fold between the 2 outside receivers. And basically what it's doing, and ever since I played, for 14 years or whatever, since 99, you make corners tackle, they're in freaking trouble. And so everybody, you put a hat on a hat inside. And I think from my perspective, very few teams, I think New England's doing a great job of this as well, even know how to play that style of football anymore. Like they don't understand when somebody lines up in an eye of what being gap sound mean. Are they in the correct space? They're so used to zones and misdirection and a quarterback and seeing the ball the entire time. If somebody turns their back, people get confused. And I think that to me has been, if I were an offensive coordinator, and this would obviously have to balance with the passing game coordination as well. But man, I would definitely give it a 20+% kind of rate in my offense to see how effective and successful it could be. Because again, you got to practice it. And that's hard to do, when you're only getting 10, 15 plays of pads a week now. So